String bends are one of those things that just feel unpredictable. Like sometimes they're in tune and sometimes they're really not. And no matter how long you've been playing, they can really feel harder than they should feel. That's not a strength issue, that's not a musical problem, that's mechanical. And it's also probably why you avoid using them when you improvise. But the frustrating part is most players are extremely close to fixing it, but one small technical error gets in the way, and I'll get to that. But first I'm going to show you something that's going to make a huge difference right away before we even get to the real fix. Most advice around bending focuses on effort. Use your hand, dig in, put more weight behind it. And while some of that sounds reasonable, it's actually the reason why bending can feel so difficult and unstable for a lot of players. So we're going to start with something simple. Watch what happens when I use a lot of hand motion to bend a string. It works, but notice what it does to my hand position. My hand moves, and my fingertips rotate and change angle, and I'm already beginning to lose control. Now watch the same bend with less motion. And that already feels more stable. And if you try that right now, you're going to notice an immediate improvement. But this isn't the real fix. This is just removing a little excess motion. The actual problem is still there. And you're probably thinking, my bends aren't feeling better yet. And that's true, because you don't have anything solid to push against. And this is where most of the instruction you've probably gotten is a little bit wrong. And it's also the moment where bending suddenly starts to feel easy without adding strength. Now, take a look at your left thumb. If it's behind the neck in the classical position, you've basically taken all the leverage out of the system. Now you're asking one finger to push against 10 or 12 pounds of pressure with nothing to brace against. That's not going to happen. And that's why this feels like a strength problem. But it's not. Now watch this. The thumb's not squeezing, it's just sitting there on top of the fretboard. And the thumb sitting on top actually gives me something to push against. I'm pushing the string up towards the ceiling, up towards my thumb. I'm basically just closing my hand. And now the neck and my thumb work together as something I can brace against, something I can push into with my finger. Same string, same note, less effort. And this is the moment where you get your thumb up top and suddenly bending clicks. Now for most players this can fix up to 80% of the issue, but there's just one more detail that can actually make or break your bending. It's not just that your thumb is sitting on top, it's actually where it is on top of the neck. Most of the time you're bending with your ring finger or pinky. Those are weak fingers, and unfortunately a lot of players end up keeping their thumb behind their index finger. And that puts your leverage point the farthest away from the finger that's actually doing the work. If I have to use my pinky, I can't have my weight all the way behind my index. And it's got a lot to do with why your bends aren't clean, and if you can bend, you can't control the tuning. Slide your thumb laterally down the neck towards the body of the guitar. That way you're closer to the leverage point, you're closer to the finger that's actually doing the bending, and you've shifted the weight in your hand. So when you're playing and you're doing bends, keep that thumb in the middle of your hand. Now the effort is minimal and the force stays tight and compact. Less movement, more control, better bending. Now there's still one last question. How do all the best players stay so in tune when they bend strings? You listen to David Gilmour and B.B. King and Clapton, and their bends never sound ugly. They never sound like they missed the pitch. So how? The type of guitar you play directly affects your ability to bend in pitch. And that all has to do with the scale length of your guitar. If you're on a Gibson scale length, which is slightly shorter than a Fender scale length, the amount you need to move that string is going to be different. So if one day you're practicing your bends on a Les Paul and the next day you're practicing them on a Strat, the tension is going to change and you're going to be missing pitches. So okay, Clapton always plays a Strat, B.B. King always plays a 335, but that doesn't explain how they bend in tune. And the answer to that lies in spatial orientation. You have to develop a feel for how far you push that string based on the string that you're on. And that sounds really hard, but it's actually not, because you can already do something similar when you drive your car. When you turn the steering wheel to round a corner, how do you know how far to turn it? The answer is you just know. You have an idea because you've turned the steering wheel so many times, and the same is true with your guitar. You have to practice the distance that your string has to move from one pitch to the next. So you can get your distance right on your guitar, you can bend what you think is right, and you can still miss by a little bit. A little sharp, a little flat. So how do the pros deal with that? They mask it. They get into the vicinity of the correct pitch, and they add vibrato at the top of the bend. That gives them the ability to make the bend in the general area of the pitch and add feeling and emotion to their playing. So practice getting your distances, and then when you get to that top of the bend, add vibrato, and you're going to sound really good. So when your bends fail, it's rarely one catastrophic mistake. It's usually too much motion, no leverage, or leverage in the wrong place. If you fix those, bending stops becoming a struggle. And if you stick to practicing on one guitar, and you learn the distance on that guitar, you're going to be hitting those bends in tune pretty much every time. And if bending has always felt like one of the hardest parts of your playing, it's not talent, it's not years of practice, it's mechanics. And once you get that right, playing guitar becomes a whole lot more fun. And if you want to dive deeper into the biomechanics of guitar technique so that you can learn how to diagnose your own problems, solve your own technical issues, check out my workshop, Hand Mechanics, down in the link below.